Hey y'all, it's Melissa from the blog Melly Sews and the designer behind Blank Slate Patterns, and today I've got a project that is near and dear to my heart. I volunteer with the Breast Cancer Resource Center in my area, and one of the things they do is distribute these camisoles, which are sewn by another organization called Crafting Comfort. And I've paired up with Crafting Comfort to offer a digital download pattern of this camisole, which is used for post-surgery. It has Velcro on the front and on the shoulders. That makes this a garment that's easy to get in and out of without lifting your arms, which is a problem after mastectomy surgeries. And it also has these pockets on the inside here because after that type of surgery, a lot of times patients will have drains that they have to carry with them for up to 2 weeks. So this is a garment that's much more about function and form than it is about looks, but we try to make it a little bit sweet looking too. It's also a great charitable project. If you have a group looking for something that you'd like to sew for charity, I would recommend this. So I've got a link up here, if you can see it, and it's also in the description below, to a blog post with all the details about where to get this pattern. There are options to get this pattern for free, and then there are options to pay for this pattern. And you should know that if you do choose to pay for the pattern, all of those proceeds go to the Crafting Comfort organization, and then those in turn are used to make and donate more of these camisoles to other cancer patients. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make this. So let's get started. You can see I've got my pieces out here. I have one back piece, and that was cut on the fold. And then I have two of the front pieces. So these are cut in a mirror image. So we have a right and a left. And then additionally, I have two of the upper pockets, and I have two of the lower pockets. And I have two straps. Got a little bow we're going to use to embellish things at the end. And then because I'm sewing the size small here, I've got an 8-inch strip of Velcro and I've got two 2-inch strips of Velcro. The amount of Velcro is going to change based on what size you are sewing, so make sure that you check the pattern and cut the amount that the pattern calls for the size that you're making. We're going to start with the serger machine to finish off all of the raw edges of this fabric. Now, don't worry if you don't have a serger. I'm going to show you in another video, which I'll link to, and it'll be down in the description below. I'll show you in that real quick video how to do an overcast stitch just using the zigzag on your regular sewing machine. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to finish the edges with the serger. So I'm going to start by taking the back piece here, and I'm going to finish all 4 edges of the back piece. Okay, so here is my back piece, and I have all 4 edges now finished with the white serger thread, and I'm going to move on now to the pocket pieces. So for the front pocket, or sorry, the upper pocket, you can tell that it's the upper pocket because it has this notch cut out of where the pocket goes under the arm. And on the top pockets, we need to finish both the top and the bottom edges. On the bottom pocket here, we need to also finish off the top edge. But we can leave the bottom alone because we're going to finish that on when we attach this to the bodice front. Next, I'm going to take one of my bodice fronts and I am laying this wrong side up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the bottom pockets and make sure that the angle at the side seam is matching. That way you know that you've got the correct pocket. So I'm going to take the pocket there, and then I'm going to take one of the upper pockets here, and I'm going to pin these in place with a few pins in the center. And then just like I did for the back bodice, I'm going to finish all of the raw edges of this front bodice. And you'll notice when I do that, I catch the side edges of the pockets in the finished serger overlock edge. Okay, so here's the front bodice now with the edges finished, and you can see that I've got the pockets and the bottom pockets almost ready to go. But the top one here, we're going to do some more stitching when we switch to the regular machine to seal that off. So the last preparation step that we need to do with the serger is to form the straps. So I've got the two straps here, and these simply get folded wrong sides together like this. And then I am going to serge right around all three of those sides so that I've got a flat strap. So this is how you turn a corner with the serger. You're going to sew right to the edge of the fabric, and then you will hand crank the machine and go one stitch past the edge. Then with the needles up, release the presser foot, pull. That'll release just enough thread so that you can then turn and place your fabric under the presser foot again. And then you can put the presser foot back down and continue to stitch down the next side. And there you can see, there's the corner of the stitching that we turned. Okay, now that I've got the front bodice all finished and the back bodice all finished, and I've done the straps with the serger, I have switched to a regular sewing machine. I'm not going to be using the serger anymore. So I just have this threaded with white thread, and I'm going to be using 3/8 inch seam allowances again. And the next thing that I need to do is I need to top stitch right here along the bottom of the upper pocket so that it is closed, so that things don't fall right through the pocket. Then on the lower pocket, I'm going to top stitch on this one right along the top and then down that line. That is done on the small and medium sizes. If you're making anything larger than a medium, what you will do on the bottom pocket is fold it in half, make yourself a finger pressed line. You're also welcome to measure this, of course. And then you will divide it into two pockets of this size. The reason on the small and medium that we do just the one pocket is because drain pockets need to be a certain size to be useful for holding drains. If we made two pockets on the small and the medium, they would be useless. So that's why it's just going to be one pocket on the bottom here that I'm going to top stitch along those lines. Okay, now that we have the pockets stitched onto the bodice front pieces, it's time to stitch on the Velcro. So I'm going to take my 8-inch strip of Velcro, or if you're making another size, it'll be a little bit longer, but it's going to be your long strip of Velcro. And I'm going to separate that, and then I want to make sure that the hook side, the side that is more rough, is on the right side of the fabric, on the left side of the bodice. And I'm just going to add a couple pins here to hold that in place so that I can stitch it. Then the loop piece, the softer piece, is going to be going on the other side here. So this is the right side of the bodice. I'm going to turn that so that it is wrong side up, and I'm going to be placing my loop tape on that side. So on the right side of the fabric, I'm also going to take my little 2-inch strips of Velcro. The hook side of the tape is going to get sewn to the top of these straps right up here. So same thing, I'm going to just add a pin to hold that in place, and then I will be stitching around all 4 sides. So it's the loop side, and they're just going to go down. It's going to go down on one end of each strap. We want to stitch those loop pieces in place. Again, stitching around all 4 edges. So the next step is going to be to attach the straps to the bodice back now that we've got all the Velcro on. And I want to attach the straps so that the bodice back is wrong side up, and then I want the Velcro down so that I can't see it, and I want the serged edge of the strap aligned with the serged edge of the back bodice, and then I'm going to stitch these right across here. After I stitch these in place, then I'm going to fold the straps up like this, and I will stitch and back stitch again to make sure this is a flat, clean, and secure edge. Okay, we're finally ready to put the front bodices together with the back bodice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the back bodice wrong side up, and then I am going to place one of the front bodices. So these are wrong sides together. This is because we're going to be sewing these seams to be on the outside so that any skin sensitivities aren't irritated by any interior seams. So I've got one lined up, and then I'm going to line up the other bodice front piece at the side seam. And then there is a dot that actually corresponds with where the top of the lower pocket is. And if you've transferred that dot to your pattern, it'll be right here. And you're going to start stitching from there, and you're going to go up towards the armhole. And you want to backstitch at each end to make sure that this is a secure seam. That's going to leave a vent at the bottom, which makes it easier to fit this around the hips. Remember, this is not a garment that anybody is going to be wearing to go out on the town. This is for comfort and function after a surgery. So let's go ahead and start stitching those two side seams together. Okay, once the side seams are sewn, then just to make sure that we don't have this seam sticking up and irritating somebody under their arm, we're going to press the seam toward the back of the garment, and once again we're going to go from the top of that vent there where the dot is all the way up, and we're just going to stitch that seam along the edge so that it lays flat and it reduces any irritation that might happen. So as you can see, once that's done, the inside seam here is nice and flat and unlikely to irritate anyone with sensitive skin there. And then even on the outside where we've got all the serger thread, we've still got a nice flat seam to minimize any issues. And the last step here is going to be to, on the front, on the top, the right side of the bodice, is just to add a little decoration here. So there's a little bow here tied with 1/8 inch ribbon, and I'm just going to back stitch and back stitch right over the bow to hold it in place.